Part 3 of When Mother Lets Us Cook. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. When Mother Lets Us Cook by Constance Johnson. Part 3. Wets and dries. Have one bowl for liquids, put dries in another, and just before cooking, mix all up together. Meatloaf. 1 pound chopped raw beef, 4 white crackers, ½ cup cream or milk, or some evaporated cream, 1 egg, 1 teaspoonful salt, butter, rolling pin and board, mixing bowl, wooden spoon, teaspoon, measuring cup, baking dish. Take 4 white crackers. Any simple, unsweetened cracker will do. Roll them into fine crumbs with your rolling pin. Put them in a bowl with 1 teaspoonful of salt. Leave out some of the crumbs to put on top of your loaf. Break an egg into the bowl and mix well with the cracker crumbs, using a wooden spoon. Put into the bowl 1 pound of finely chopped raw beef and mix again. Measure ½ cup of cream and pour over the mixture. You can instead use 4 tablespoonfuls of unsweetened evaporated cream. If you use milk, add to it 1 tablespoonful of melted butter before you pour it on the meat. Mix the whole together again and turn into your baking dish, molding it into a loaf with a spoon. Sprinkle over the top the rest of your cracker crumbs and a tablespoonful of butter broken into little pieces. Bake in a moderate oven for about 25 minutes until the meat is nicely browned on top. Serve hot or cold, if possible, in the dish in which the loaf was cooked. Birthday cake. 2 heaping tablespoonfuls butter, 6 heaping tablespoonfuls sugar, ½ cup milk, 1 1/2 cups flour, half a lemon, 2 eggs, 2 teaspoonfuls baking powder, 3 mixing bowls, wooden spoon, measuring cup, tablespoon, teaspoon, egg beater, baking pan, flour sifter, lemon squeezer, knife. Take 2 eggs, break them carefully, and put the whites in one bowl and the yolks in another. Beat the whites first so as not to soil your beater, and then beat the yolks. Put 6 heaping tablespoonfuls of granulated sugar in a third bowl. Add to this 2 heaping tablespoonfuls of butter, which has been softened by warming it on the stove. Beat the butter and sugar together with a wooden spoon until they are well mixed and light. Add the yolks of the eggs and beat again for 5 minutes. Add ½ teaspoonful of salt. Sift some flour and measure 1 1/2 cupfuls into the empty bowl. Have ready ½ cup of milk. Cut a lemon in half and squeeze 1/2 carefully through a squeezer on the sugar and egg and butter. Mix them together with a spoon. Now add your flour and milk a little at a time and beat the whole until it is quite smooth and free from lumps. Before doing anything more, examine your oven, and if you want to make a loaf cake, have a moderate oven. If you are going to make little cakes, you will want a hot one. Butter your tins well, using either a big tin for loaf cake or a muffin tin for little ones. Measure 2 teaspoonfuls of baking powder and add them to the dough. Last of all, add the beaten whites of the eggs, mix them in with a fork, and turn the dough at once into the buttered tin. Never let cake dough stand after the baking powder is in it. If you bake it in one loaf, it will take about 3/4 of an hour. 20 minutes is generally right for small cakes. Use the straw test when you think your cake is done, but do not keep opening the oven door. Do not open it at all for some time after the cake is in. When it is done, turn out onto a plate to cool. Oven doors. Never slam the oven door. Cakes will fall to rise no more. Hilda's Johnny Cake. 1 egg, 1 cup flour, 1/3 of a cup cornmeal, 1/4 of a cup sugar, 2 teaspoonfuls baking powder, ½ a teaspoonful salt, 1 tablespoonful melted butter, 3/4 of a cup milk, butter or lard for greasing pan. measuring cup, teaspoon, baking tin, egg beater, mixing bowl, tablespoon, flour sifter. Measure 1 cupful of white flour and 1/3 of a cup of yellow cornmeal. Be sure your flour and meal are sifted before you measure them. Add a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoonfuls of baking powder, and a 1/2 teaspoonful of salt. Mix them up well with a spoon, or sift them once more all together. Get your baking tin and grease it carefully. Be sure that your oven is all right. Break an egg into a bowl and beat it with an egg beater. Mix it in with the dry things. Then add about 3/4 of a cup of milk, and add 1 tablespoonful of melted butter. You may need more milk, you may need less. You want enough to moisten the flour so that it will form a dough that you can drop into the pan. Mix the milk in as fast as you can, but thoroughly, so that your dough will be smooth. Pour into the buttered tin and bake in a moderate oven. It is better to have a shallow pan. Your dough should be only about 1 inch thick before it is cooked. Bake it about 20 minutes, or until it is brown. Use straw test. Do not open the oven door for at least 10 minutes after your pan is in the oven. Blueberry muffins. 1/2 cupful sugar, 1 egg, 1/2 cupful milk, teaspoonful baking powder, 1 tablespoonful butter, 1 cupful flour, 1 cupful blueberries, 1/2 teaspoonful salt, measuring cup, 2 mixing bowls, wooden spoon, teaspoon, tablespoon, muffin tin, flour sifter. Put a 1/2 cupful of granulated sugar into a bowl. Break 2 eggs into the bowl and beat the sugar and eggs together with a wooden spoon. Melt 1 tablespoonful of butter on the stove and mix it in with the eggs and sugar. Sift some flour into your measuring cup until you have 1 cupful. Add to this 1/2 teaspoonful of salt and 1 teaspoonful of baking powder. Sift together into the bowl with the eggs and sugar and butter. See that your oven is hot and butter your muffin tins. Measure 1 cupful of blueberries, put them in a bowl and pick them over. Wash them if necessary, but it is better only to wipe them with a cloth. Measure 1/2 cup of milk and add this gradually to the flour mixture. Beat it with your wooden spoon as you mix in the milk. When you have beaten the mixture so that it is smooth and light, put in the cupful of blueberries and mix it all together thoroughly. Pour into your buttered tins, filling them half full. Bake in a quick oven for about 15 minutes. Use the straw test. Do not open the oven door for at least 10 minutes after your muffins are in the oven. When the muffins are done, turn them out on a plate. Katie's gingerbread. 1 egg, 1/2 cup brown sugar, 2 tablespoonfuls butter, bacon fat, 1 cup black molasses, 2 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoonful salt, 1 teaspoonful cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoonful allspice, 1/2 teaspoonful ginger, 1 cup boiling water, 1 teaspoonful cooking soda, teaspoon, tablespoon, wooden stirring spoon, measuring cup, 2 mixing bowls, egg beater, flour sifter, saucepan, baking pan, spatula. Take a fresh egg and break it carefully into a large bowl. Beat it with an egg beater until it is very stiff. Pour 1/2 cupful of brown sugar into the egg and mix well. Put 2 tablespoonfuls of butter and some bacon fat into a pan and melt them together on the stove. Use enough bacon fat to give you, with the butter, a 1/2 cupful of melted grease. Stir this in with the sugar and egg. Before you do anything more, be sure that the oven is hot and that you have ready a good-sized, shallow baking pan, smeared on the inside with butter. Put a cup of black molasses into the mixture and beat for 2 minutes with a wooden spoon. Take another bowl and sift into it with a flour sifter 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoonful of salt, 1 heaping teaspoonful of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoonful of allspice, and